So this is the Good Ride review of the Arbor A-Frame 2019. Oh boy. I rode this with Falcors, Union Falcors, and Union Atlas and my trusty good old Adidas Tactical ADVs. If you're looking at this board, you know you want two things out of this. You want excellent carving and you want excellent speed. And that's what this thing does really well. Everything else is pretty good, but you get this board for that. But let's get into it. First off, I decided to compare it at first with the Kura Auto, which is a 57 with a lot of camber, but kind of more of a double ender. And I think that might have been a better comparison with the old Arbor A-Frame. That was more of a double ender, had less taper, the really old one. And then they had a newer one that was a little more directional in shape, but still didn't have a ton of taper. This has more taper, it's a little wider, a little shorter, a little more stable. This 62 feels like their 66 of old. It's just packed in a little more, you know, they packed in a little more surface area, not a ton, it's not like a short fatty or anything, but the 62 feels more like the 66. And when I compared it to the Kura Auto, it just didn't feel like they were the same. And then I brought out the Pencil Plus, and that was more of a comparison. It would have been even better to go with the Pencil, which is like the non-ultralight tech, and that would have been a much better comparison. But still, you could see they both just love to carve. This was definitely a little more chattery. This was way more stable in the chunder. This can just bust through it, and this is a powerhouse. You know, you've got like a pretty, super stiff flex that really doesn't want to, you know, doesn't really want to flex much. It's super hard to butter. Took everything I could to just get the tail to pop up, to get the nose to pop up a little bit. It's not a board for buttering, but it's got pretty good pop if you're super strong. And it just really jams. Now the camber profile is kind of interesting. In comparison to the old Arbor A-Frame, that was just full on, real, super camber. And it made you feel like you were on a super locked in, very technical, very aggressive, very kind of like mean carver that also loved speed. Now this, with the system camber technology, they lift the sides like this, and then it comes back in. And they do that across on all sections, and then they have this grip technology. While I feel the edge holds a little better than the old Arbor A-Frame, it's a little different feel, carving and turning and riding with this. Like, it's not that crazy, super technical, aggressive ride anymore. You can get off your game a little bit with this and skid turns, where you really couldn't with the old Arbor A-Frame. It was very dangerous getting off track. You know, you couldn't fuck up with that board. With this, the fuck up factor is a lot higher. It's still not an easy board to skid turns with. It's a lot of board and it's a lot to spin around, but you're less likely to catch an edge than you would be with the old Arbor A-Frame. But it's stable, fast, mean, aggressive. Just the kind of thing that just makes you wanna straight line and carve all day. Now with the edge hold, like I said, grip's better than the old one, I think. I love this system tech, the grip technology. It's just a nice little extension. It's got nice grip in harder snow. It's not quite the icy specialist, but it can hang there for sure. Turn initiation, it's a little medium-ish. you know, it's not the fastest board edge to edge, but it just loves to lean out and just make these, you know, kind of medium fast turns, kind of more medium. But with responsive bindings like the Falcor and the Union Atlas, it was doing pretty good. And I have responsive boots, so it was a good matchup. But if you have softer boots or less responsive bindings, you're gonna find it slower than it was for me. And I'd say it's just about medium-ish. And then the turning experience, I thought this long grip tech might screw with that, but it actually didn't. You know, at first the grip tech was a little weird because you're like, oh, this is like, it feels like a camber board. And then you skid a turn, or, you know, you just don't feel that bite. And some people like that, some people don't, but I got used to it pretty quick, and it was pretty fun to just, you know, once you got over on edge and you engaged this, the grip tech held, and this didn't make it washy. I will say though that the feeling of this board is a little more washy off the tail. And that might have been the grip tech, but most likely it was the extra taper that it has compared to the old one. I think this is like 6 to 8 mil of taper or something like that, where the old one was like 1 or 2 mil. It was almost a double ender. But maybe that's probably more that, but I'm not sure. But I will say that it just liked a more, the old A-frame you could carve centered, you could drive hard off that front foot if you wanted to, or you could lay it back. This one feels like it specializes more a little centered to laid back. That's where I felt the best, and I just felt like it wanted to point and just bomb and carve. That's all I really wanted to do with this. So this carves like a champ. Once you get over on that edge, I really didn't feel like too much washiness or anything weird with the system camber and the, you know, the grip tech kind of thing. So speed, fucking bombs. Period. Done. Uneven terrain, put it away. Put it away midday. It's good for how stiff it is, and it's a heavy, stiff, aggressive, super damp board that's made for speed, hammering through chunder, kind of, you know, just being a bomber. But yeah, dude, if you want to go out on a Saturday with this, this is a bad idea. It's just not, you know, you're punishing yourself more than you would other boards. Powder, haven't had any powder, can't really say. It seems like there's a good nose, and it seems like it'll float well. The system camber doesn't really do that much for powder compared to some other hybrid shapes out there like this. So I can't say for sure how well it's going to compare to those boards, but it seems like it would do okay. It seems like it has a, you know, pretty big nose, and it's got some taper, and it's set back pretty far. And check the on the table review for all the details and to kind of see how this works. It does rise up a little bit on the sides, but then it kind of comes back in. I'd love it if the fender kept going that way. Then you might get a little more extra float, but it seems like it's going to float really well for a camber board and maybe hang with some hybrid shapes. You know, for the park, no thanks. No pipe. I hit some kickers. It's got enough tail to land on a kicker. But overall, you get this for carving and for bombing, and it's a great board for those people who just love those two things and mainly ride when it's amazing in the morning and then bail, or somebody who wants a quiver and wants to have this board, but then you know, maybe put it away and get something softer and more mellow for the rest of the day. I wouldn't even mind trying the, like, I think they have a 58, a 60, 62 and a 66 or something like that, or 59, 62 and 65. I wouldn't mind trying the smaller size, and that might be more fun all day. But overall, it's just a really fun board, and it was very special. It's very special with what it's supposed to be special for, so it did a good job there. So that is the 2019 revised Arbor A-frame.